Life is too short to waste time pleading with someone to stay in your life. It's a truth that we often try to ignore, but deep down we know it's the only way forward. When you cling to someone who doesn't want to be there, you unintentionally block the path for those who truly deserve a place in your life. If someone chooses to walk away, let them go. You can't force them to stay, and the more you try, the more you harm yourself. If you've made every effort to be the best version of yourself, whether as a partner, friend, or colleague, and they still want to leave, let them go. They might eventually realize the value of what they had with you, but by then it will be too late. Remember, those who cause you sleepless nights and tears today will fade into distant memories a few years from now. You might not even remember their last name, and that's perfectly okay. You can love someone deeply and still make the choice to say goodbye. You can miss them every day and still feel grateful that they are no longer a part of your life. It's common to blame ourselves when relationships fall apart. We question what we did wrong, where we went wrong, but sometimes the problem isn't us. Men in particular can be skilled at making you believe that it's your fault, that you are the reason things didn't work out. However, real men, the ones who truly value you, don't behave that way. They have learned the true meaning of manhood from the right sources, whether it's a strong father figure or life experiences that have taught them to respect and cherish their partners. Real men encounter a woman, place her on a pedestal, and treat her like a queen. Unfortunately, not every man has been fortunate enough to learn these important lessons. Many come from broken homes without a positive male role model to guide them. If you are in a relationship with a man who lacks these qualities, it's time to recognize that and move on. People come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. The trouble arises when you mistakenly believe that someone who is in your life for a season is meant to be there forever. You end up holding on to someone who was only meant to be in your life for a short time, leaving you wondering why things are falling apart. God brings people into your life to help you navigate different stages of life. They fulfill their purpose and then move on, creating space for others who are meant to guide you further. Holding on to what was meant to be temporary only causes unnecessary pain and prevents you from moving forward. Sometimes you must accept that things will never go back to how they used to be. People change and so do circumstances. The more you accept what is, the less you'll be controlled by what was. Stop holding on to someone who has already let go of you. Stop losing yourself in someone who has already left you. Don't seek closure from them. You don't need to understand why they did what they did. Forget about trying to figure out if they're happier in their new relationship. Instead, turn your attention to yourself. Imagine everyone in your life as part of a tree. Some people are like leaves. They're unstable, blowing in whichever direction the wind takes them. When the season changes, they wither and die, and they're gone. Most people in your life will be like this, taking from you without giving much back except for occasional fleeting moments. But don't be angry with them. That's just who they are, and they'll never be anything more. Then there are those who are like branches on that tree. They may seem strong, but the moment you lean on them, they break, leaving you hanging. Not every blessing is meant to last forever. Not every friend is destined to be a lifelong friend. When people walk away, don't waste your tears on them. If they were meant to be in your future, they would have stayed. Don't worry about the people God removed from your life. He saw things you didn't, heard conversations you couldn't, and made moves you wouldn't have. But if you encounter a few people in your life who are like the roots of that tree, hold on to them. These are the people who keep you grounded, nourish your soul, and are always there for you. They don't need to be seen or recognized by others. Their strength comes from within. A tree can have millions of branches, but it only needs a few roots to thrive. When you find those roots, cherish them. The rest, let go. Sometimes the person who walked away wasn't a coincidence. It was God moving them out of your life to make room for something better. God will never close a door without opening another bigger and better one. If you maintain a positive attitude, one day you'll look back and thank God for closing that door. You'll thank Him for removing that person from your life because you would have never encountered the incredible people who came after them. People who love you. Love doesn't mistreat you. Love doesn't hurt. It feels good. Letting go can make you unstoppable. I know this because I let go of a toxic relationship and reclaimed my life. Letting go can create the best kind of change for you, too. When you reach a point in your life where you look at someone and think, "You are not good for me," it's time to make a decision. I've never thrown anyone away or destroyed anyone's life, but I have had to set boundaries. I've had to inform people, what you're doing's hurting me, and if we're going to be friends, you need to stop. If they care about you, they will try to fix the problem. That's someone worth keeping around. But if you tell someone they are hurting you and they continue, they don't care, move on, let them go, no matter how much it hurts. If you've been in a negative relationship for years, do you really want to spend more years in that misery? Stop collecting red flags. What are you saving them for? Sometimes the breakup is the blessing. Sometimes you have to release a person for God to bring the right one into your life. Hang in there and it will become easier, I promise you. Every day, it will get easier and easier. You have to make it through. You need to learn how to be by yourself. People often say, "I need someone. Where is my man? Where is my woman?" That's absurd. If you don't know how to be by yourself, what are you going to do with someone else? It's perfectly acceptable to be alone. It's perfectly acceptable to enjoy your own company. It's perfectly acceptable to utilize that time to engage in something productive and build trust in yourself. Reflect on past situations and learn from them. Evaluate what went wrong, where you ignored red flags, and how you can avoid making the same mistakes again. Moving on is less about what you're moving on to and more about what you're moving on from. Too often, we remain in situations that aren't conducive to our well-being because we fear the unknown. We stay in mahosha relationships, friendships, and partnerships that don't serve our growth because we're too terrified to proceed without them. But staying in these situations only holds you back. You become stagnant, settling for less than you deserve because you fear what lies ahead. Some of us have been so reliant on others for so long that we've forgotten how to stand on our own. But you must learn to let go. You must learn to move forward, even if it means stepping into the unknown. You cannot carry old baggage into new opportunities. You cannot cling to the past and expect to embrace the future fully. Letting go is an act of faith, trusting that what lies ahead is better than what you're leaving behind. It's believing that you deserve more than what you settle for. When you release what no longer serves you, you create space for what's meant to be in your life. You free yourself from the chains that have been holding you back and open yourself up to new possibilities. So when you find yourself clinging to something or someone that's no longer beneficial to you, remember that letting go is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. It's an acknowledgement that you value yourself enough to walk away from what no longer serves you. It's a step towards personal growth, self-discovery, and true happiness. You must learn how to be alone, how to enjoy your own company, and how to find contentment within yourself. When you do, you'll stop settling for less. You'll stop allowing people to mistreat you. You'll stop living in fear of what might happen if you let go. Instead, you'll embrace the unknown with confidence, knowing that you're moving towards something greater. In the end, letting go is about trust in the process. It's about having faith that everything happens for a reason, and that every person who walks away from your life is making room for someone better. It's about knowing that God has a plan for you, a plan that's greater than anything you could have imagined. So if someone wants to leave, let them go. Don't beg them to stay. Don't waste your time and energy on someone who doesn't appreciate your worth. Instead, focus on yourself, your growth, and your happiness. Remember, the right people will never make you feel like you have to plead for their love or attention. They'll be there because they want to be, because they recognize your value, and because they love you for who you are. Let go of what no longer serves you and make room for the blessings that are on their way. In life, it's easy to become attached to things that no longer serve us. We often find ourselves clinging to relationships, habits, or even careers that have outlived their purpose, fearing the unknown that comes with letting go. For me, football was one of those things. It wasn't just a sport, it was an identity, a source of validation, and something I couldn't imagine my life without. But there came a time when I realized that I was holding on to football for the wrong reasons. I was dependent on it, much like I had been dependent on relationships in the past. Rather than moving forward, I found myself settling for less, clinging to what was familiar, even when it no longer brought me joy. We've all been there, afraid to step into the unknown, to walk alone. The fear of being alone can be paralyzing, leading us to stay in situations that are no longer beneficial to us. We convince ourselves that something is better than nothing, that having someone, even if they're not the right person, is better than being alone. But the truth is, moving on is less about where you're headed and more about what you're leaving behind. Ask yourself, why am I holding on to this? How is this serving me? If you can't find a valid answer, it's time to let go. I reached a point where I realized I would rather be alone, genuinely content with myself, than to be surrounded by people who added no value to my life. You'd be surprised at the things people tolerate just to avoid being alone. They settle for dysfunctional relationships, clinging to a false sense of security, just to have someone to say they love them. But I can't live in dysfunction. I've been through too much in life to allow anyone to disrupt the peace I fought so hard to achieve. Peace is non-negotiable. It's something you should fiercely protect, especially in your own home. Your home should be a sanctuary, a place where you can find solace and comfort. If you wake up in your own home and don't feel at peace, something is seriously wrong. Life is too short to waste it on situations that steal your peace. When you notice a red flag in any area of your life, don't ignore it. Don't wait until things reach a breaking point. Address the issues when they first arise, while they're still manageable. One of the hardest truths to accept is that we often don't want to hear the truth, especially when it comes to relationships. We don't want to ask our friends for their honest opinion because deep down, we already know what they're going to say. We know that something isn't right, but we ignore it, hoping that things will magically get better. But if you're in a relationship or situation that you feel the need to hide from your closest friend, something is definitely wrong. If you're keeping secrets about how you're being treated, that's a red flag in itself. Excuses are easy to make, and I've heard them all. He only calls me names when he's had too much to drink, or he's not really an alcoholic. He's just stressed. But these excuses are just ways to rationalize unacceptable behavior. One bad day turns into many, and before you know it, you're stuck in a cycle of dysfunction. It's crucial to surround yourself with people who will tell you the truth, even when it's hard to hear. I call this group my Truth Commission. These are the people who love me enough to be honest, even when it's uncomfortable. We all have a tendency to invest in relationships, hoping that our efforts will eventually lead to happiness. But no matter how much you put into a relationship, if it's with the wrong person, it will never bear the fruit you desire. Deep down, we often know when something isn't right. We have a gut feeling, that intuition. But we ignore it out of fear or loneliness. But you are stronger than you think. Don't be afraid to let go and wait for the right person to enter your life. There's no rush, no deadline. Life isn't about finding someone quickly. It's about finding the right one. Deciding to leave a toxic situation is not easy, and it will hurt. It might feel like the pain will never end, but just because something hurts doesn't mean it's wrong. Sometimes pain is necessary to break free from what's holding you back. You have to be willing to endure that hurt, to face the discomfort, in order to move on to something better. Taking time for yourself, stepping away from the situation, and truly reflecting on what you need is crucial. Pray, meditate, or seek guidance from a higher power if that resonates with you. Whatever you do, make sure it brings clarity to your life. The person you thought was trustworthy, the person you believed was everything you wanted, might not actually exist. It's hard to accept, but sometimes we fall in love with an idea, a fantasy we've created in our minds. When reality doesn't align with that fantasy, we feel betrayed. But the truth is that person was never who you thought they were. They have shown you their true colors through their actions, and now it's time to believe them and move on. It's essential to visualize your life as a boat. This boat can only hold so much weight before it starts to sink. Each relationship, each commitment, each responsibility is like a passenger on that boat. If you overload it with too many passengers, especially those who don't contribute to your well-being, it will eventually sink. This metaphor extends to every area of your life, your career, your personal life, your relationships. Evaluate what's weighing you down. Are you holding on to a relationship that drains you emotionally, mentally, or spiritually? If so, it's time to let go before your boat goes under. Moving on is not about finding someone new right away. It's about freeing yourself from what no longer serves you. It's about reclaiming your power and your peace. It's about understanding that being alone is better than being with someone who doesn't value you. Sometimes we are so dependent on others that we forget how to stand on our own. But you must learn to be independent, to find contentment within yourself. You have to learn to enjoy your own company, to be your own best friend. When you can do that, you stop settling for less. You stop accepting mistreatment. You stop fearing the unknown and start embracing it. Moving on is not about what you're moving on to. It's about recognizing that you deserve better than what you're leaving behind. It's about knowing that there's more to life than the situation you're currently in. Sometimes we stay in situations out of fear of loneliness, fear of failure, fear of the unknown. But staying in a toxic situation only holds you back from your true potential. It keeps you stuck, stagnant, and unfulfilled. You deserve more than that. You deserve to be happy, to be at peace, and to be loved for who you are. Letting go is an act of courage. It's about trusting that the future holds something better for you, even if you can't see it yet. It's about believing that you are worthy of more than what you settle for. When you let go of what's holding you back, you make space for new opportunities, new relationships, and new experiences that align with your true self. So when you find yourself holding on to something that no longer serves you, remember that letting go is not a weakness. It's a strength. It's a declaration that you value yourself enough to walk away from what no longer brings you joy or peace. It's a step towards personal growth, towards becoming the person you were meant to be. Don't be afraid to be alone. Embrace it. Use it as a time to rediscover who you are, to build a life that you love. When you do, you'll attract the right people, the right opportunities, and the right experiences into your life. You'll stop settling for less and start demanding more because you know your worth. In the end, letting go is about faith. Faith in yourself, faith in the process, and faith in the belief that what lies ahead is far better than what you're leaving behind. So if someone or something no longer serves you, let it go. Move forward with confidence, knowing that you're making room for the blessings that are on their way to you.